So you got a race car, but you don't know what tools that you're going to need for your weekly maintenance? Stick around. I'll tell you. The first thing that you're going to need for your maintenance program is just your normal hand tools, your wrenches, your ratchets, screwdrivers, pliers. That'll take care of most of what you need to do. You're going to want to get yourself a good wiring pliers too. You got to do some battery ends and stuff like that. You want to make sure that they're tight, secure, connected. Get yourself a couple good tape measures, whether it's checking toe, ride heights, anything like that. You're going to want to make sure that you got two identical tape measures so you can check them. The next thing you're going to want to get yourself a really good air gauge. I really like this Intercomp one. The other one that we use here is a digital one. They're both really good. Then we get into some other things, like our bit drivers and our impacts. I like having the good Milwaukee ones. They serve our purpose for what we're doing with them. Rivet gun. You can pull them all by hand or use an air one, but the electric one seems to work really good for us. Not that we're pulling a lot of rivets, but like this time of year off season, we seem to pull more. The next thing you want to get into, you're going to want a good ball joint press. The old way always was just take a hammer, beat on the spindle, but with like the late model spindles and even your mod spindles, you don't want to be beating on them any more than you have to. The infield tractor tire bends them enough. Why would we do it in the shop? And then talking about spindles, they're not that spendy for what they are. Get yourself a good spindle checker. Just, you know, if you hit something, it don't take nothing. Pull the spindle off, check it. That way you know what you have. If you're running around with a bent spindle, you're not running around with the best car you can have. The next thing you need whenever you take a spindle off, whenever you hit something, doing some setup changes, ride height changes, your caster camber is always going to change. These long anchor caster camber gauges, they also make a digital one. They work perfectly fine. This is the cheaper version. You get different adapters. This is the wide 5 adapter. They make the magnetic adapter. So that's what you want to get yourself. You can get a digital angle finder, and you can do the same thing. You can get a digital angle finder off of Amazon. They're fairly cheap. I'll link one in. It's the one that I use. It's not a big name brand one, but it's also one that if I drop it or I've already done it once, left it stuck to a car, went out racing, couldn't find it, they're cheap enough that you're not going to be that upset. You're always going to want to have a notebook. Between the changes at the track and any maintenance that you do, if you find anything at the track, write it down. That way when you get back to the shop, you're not trying to remember, oh, there was a bolt loose, but I can't remember where, or looks like we missed something when we went over the car. You can write it down. Or if you get yourself in a little bit of a jingle in a heat race, you have to change an upper or lower, whatever, change a shock, you can write it down. That way when you get back to the shop, you know everything that you need to check over and double check over that you had changed at the shop. The next thing that we got, and it's not crucial to have, but I think that every good race team should probably have one, is a timing light. I usually check my timing when I do valve springs on the crate, which is every 10 nights. I'll go in there and verify timing. I know some guys with open motors, they'll do it every 3 nights, every 5 nights, just kind of whatever you get on for your program. But a timing light's not a bad thing to have. And this is a little bit more of an expensive version. It's digital, but even still, I think they're right in around that 150 mark. They're not horrible. You can get cheaper ones, but you're going to pay for quality, you're going to pay for accuracy. So that being said, don't skimp out on your timing light, you know, things that are crucial to your engine performance. All right, now let's go look at some other things that you need. Welcome back. The next thing you're going to want is a good creeper. That way you can roll it underneath the car, work on the things that you need. But to keep the car up, you're going to want a good jack to put it on jack stands. You got to keep yourself safe. You don't want the car falling on you. Usually I ditch jack stands though. And I have my nice roll stands here. I built these in-house. There's a bunch of guys that are making them. Usually they're made out of tubing or channel, and they have square corners where mine are rounded. So when I get rolling around, try and do some maintenance on a Saturday night before a Sunday race, I don't have to worry about hitting my head, bumping my old noggin on the corner. If if you guys would like a set of these, shoot me a message. Thinking about making some and selling them. Definitely be a good addition to your shop. I use them, I roll them outside. They clamp onto the back of the car so you don't have to worry about them kicking out. They got big casters. They roll pretty easy. So yeah, shoot me a message if you guys are interested in them. Thinking about making some and probably do some powder coat on them, or we can sell them raw, however guy wants them. So let's go check out some tire stuff. First thing you're going to need when you're doing tires is a good grinder. You can go get yourself a $30, $40 grinder. Let me tell you from firsthand experience, you're going to buy 3 or 4 of them in the first 2 years. You just burn them up. They can't handle the amount of torque that we're putting on them, buffing these tires. So just save up the money or get on the marketplace or go garage sailing or auctions. Find yourself a good Milwaukee, DeWalt, whatever, a good buffing grinder. They do all the work for you, and you don't have to worry about them burning up in the middle of a big race weekend and having to borrow somebody's. The next thing, it's not very necessary to have. They're good to have, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of tires, if you have multiple sets that you're going to do for a weekend. But one of these tire machines, we use ours at the shop, but in the trailer, we actually have a spindle that's welded with a hub on it, and that's what we use. It can spin at whatever rate we want. We can stop it, but that's kind of what we use on the trailer. But at the shop, you know, we use an actual tire machine, keeps a nice constant speed. Not something you have to have, but if you had the money laying around or you get yourself a good deal on one, it'd be a good investment, especially if you're going to be doing, you know, more than 4 tires a weekend. So that's one thing to look into. Let's go look at some spring stuff. So this is a spring smasher. So when you hear guys talking about load numbers, smash numbers, this is what they're using to check it. A-mod guys, late model guys, this is what we use. We'll put the shock in here, get our eye-to-eye load numbers, and we'll use that for setup as well as maintenance for checking springs. We'll talk more about that in a different video. B-mod guys, stock cars, hobby stocks, sport mods, you guys probably get by with just a normal spring raider and maybe like a load stick. They'll tell you mostly what you need to do. Let's go back to the table and we're going to discuss a couple more things. So that was just an overview of the tools that we use pretty much on a weekly basis. Obviously, a guy doesn't need all those tools right off the bat. The spring smasher and tire machine, they're both a little bit spendy. You can get by without them for a little bit, but in the long run, they're going to be good to have on a setup and maintenance basis. If you guys really like this, hit the subscribe button down below, wherever it is, and follow along, because I plan on doing a whole maintenance program. Actually, on my car, I'm going to do a little winter rebuild on it. We're going to go through the brakes, the transmission, the engine. We're going to do some shock things. We probably won't get into too much of like setup data. Maybe down the road we'll talk more about that, but it's basically all going to be maintenance, what to do, what to look for, and how to keep your car on the track, because a car that stays on the track is going to finish races and win championships. Thanks for following along.